Welcome everyone, it's the do's and don'ts of drawing a realistic nose. Using some simple light lines to map things out is good. It's a frame to build on. I'm using a 4B here, and as you can see, it can be blended out easily, either light or press down, but the harder you press down, the harder it will be to blend out evenly. So you don't want to press down hard everywhere, outlining everything. It's going to mean rubbing things out, spending time correcting mistakes, as in reality, there are hardly any harsh lines. Pressing down hard with the hard eraser creates harsh lines too, and you don't want your lights and shadows to meet together sharply without gradation. It makes everything look square, flat and two-dimensional. Trying to blend out those harsh lines, and I end up rubbing it out. Putting another hard line down, rubbing it out. The more you do this, the more time is spent and the harder it is to rub out back to the white of the paper. And if you're just using graphite, you want to preserve the white of the paper for things like a clean finish or strong highlight. Now, using your finger works, as you can see, but for your longer drawings, especially with realism, you want consistency, you want even shading, and those natural oils that are left on the surface of the paper can get in the way of smooth and consistent results in your longer finished drawings. Let's prepare for the do drawing by printing out our reference. For a lot of sites you can use, but this particular one I'm going to be using Unsplash. Experiment with your search terms, but some good ones to start with are portrait and portrait noses. So pick the one you want, download for free, and when you can, give these photographers a thank you as they provide their photos for free. Now I'm going to edit this photo to the same size I want the drawing, make sure it's black and white, and I also printed this out darker to make things easier. Materials are in the description. You don't have to use the ones I'm using, but use the best you can afford. The pencils I'm using are an F, 2B, 4B, and a 6H. General's a charcoal HB for darks. This paper is great for practice. So now that we're warmed up, let's get started. So I've got the printout, same size as my drawing. You don't have to print out, this can be on your screen or monitor. I'm going to start here with a sketch. You can do this as detailed as you want, and I recommend you spend a good time on this to get it as accurate as you can. It's going to save you a lot of frustration later in the drawing. I've slowed the video down so you can see how much time it really takes me. I take my time making sure things are in the right place. But as this is the nose, I'm going to put just enough lines down so I know where things are going and cleaning up as I go. Because I stay light, I keep a light pressure, it's very easy to rub out. Coming with a 4B now to separate the light and dark, so the light and dark patterns, the shadow and the lights, shading it and blending it out with a tissue to get rid of the graininess. From here on, I'm gradually building up the shadows, beginning with the F and 2B, and with each layer of graphite, I'm making sure I blend out each layer smoothly. And using a paper stump here, it does require a bit of practice. Going in circular motions is a much more easier technique for beginners, so I recommend this circular motion to smooth things out more evenly. I like to go for the darkest dark as quickly as possible so I can judge both the darkest dark and the lightest light and compare all other values in the drawing. And I really take my time to get kind of one area as accurate as I can. Once I've got that area down, and I can work outside and around and outside from it, and judge everything else on that one anchor point. This is just from this point a gradual build-up of these tones. Just want to make sure we get things as accurate as possible, and if you gradually start to build things up, you get a much better finish of the finished drawing. Making sure that I don't press down too hard. Pressure is very important, so to avoid graphite shine as much as possible, I'll use the pencil and use it as far as it will go without pressing down too hard. This is why I'm using the different grades to work through. I'll work it up as far as it will go, and then once it can't go any darker, whilst avoiding pressing down too hard, I'll move up a grade, so from F to 2B to 4B, and then the charcoal being the darkest I can go. And you can see I'm using the paper stump to kind of just blend out each layer of that graphite as I go, to kind of work up the layers of tone. Here I'm starting to build up the lighter areas. Now I'm using a 6H for this. These hard pencils are much easier to shade the most subtle and lightest tones in the light areas. I'm starting to do this because I want to start to turn the form from the shadow into the light, and this is done through the halftone gradations between the light and the shadow. But once I've already got some graphite down on the paper, I've built up those shadow areas, you can actually use the graphite already laid down push it and pull it across the surface of the paper using a tissue here to actually build up the tone. So you don't need to add anything more, you just use what's already there. My focus has really shifted now into those lighter tones that I started previously. I want to kind of build those up. These do take time, but you do want to take your time to build up these subtle tones. When I was learning to draw, this took me the longest time to kind of fully be aware of, but just pay attention to the actual skin tone. It's not white at all. It's if you compare it to the white of the sheet of paper, you can see that it's much darker. So you really do want to build up those tones so it's dark enough and the right value. You notice that I pulled out the highest lights on the nose. Once I've built up all the other tones, the lights come in on the last touches. The lights, and particularly the highlights, are the peaks of the mountains. And notice that the tone or value of these highlights in this reference in the nose, they're far from white. And if you can't clearly see this, I'm going to show you a secret of how to see this. Squint and compare. Now trust me, that doesn't sound like much, but it's one of the biggest secrets in drawing. If you want to learn more about this, let me know in the comments below. And that's the drawing finished. I could have taken it further. It took me about 4 hours, but I felt it's finished enough for this tutorial. This method I just showed you is one way. There's always more than one way of doing things. I want you to do things your way. For realism, using the right approach with the widest variety of techniques and tips available to you will make drawing a lot less frustrating and way more fun. Let me know if you want to see these in real time in a full version of this. I'm just currently doing this series of short videos, but with enough interest I'm going to release the full-time real-time versions of these so you can follow along with me. In the next video I'm going to show you some quick tips how to get the most out of your reference photos. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification. You'll be supporting my channel so I can make more and better videos for you guys. So thank you for watching. As always, I hope you learned something, and if you want to know more, let me know in the comments below.